So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Got a question the other day. Should you buy an iPhone 11 with 256 gigabytes or should you buy an iPhone 12 with 64 gigabytes? Like, should I just get the older phone, get more storage, or get the newer phone with less storage? It's a little bit higher price though. Well, let's break it down here. We'll begin by talking about the body and the build, and we'll get on to the storage discussion as well. So you are going to pay more for an iPhone 12, but even though you have less storage, you're going to have the more modern looking body. So the body on the iPhone 12 is actually more reminiscent of an Apple iPhone 14. So for that reason alone, I do prefer the iPhone 12 just because these edges, even the back, besides it being slightly on an angle on the newer iPhone 14, it basically looks the same. So you'll see right here, iPhone 14, iPhone 12. The average person would definitely not be able to see the difference. As you can see right there, basically the same look and feel. So body and build definitely goes to the iPhone 12. Not just that aspect, but if you take a look at the bezels on the iPhone 11, you do have thicker bezels, which makes the phone start to look a lot more aged, considering that the newer iPhones have much thinner bezels. Apple's going to go to even thinner bezels on upcoming iPhones, and even competing Galaxy phones have thinner bezels. So definitely all around, I think the iPhone 12 is giving you the better body. It's also substantially lighter. This phone only weighs 164 grams, whereas the iPhone 11 actually weighs right around 194 grams. So the iPhone 11 is quite a bit of a heavier phone as well. Now they both do have glass backs and fronts, and they both have IP68 dust and water resistance. However, Apple has officially rated the iPhone 12 at higher IP68 dust and water resistance at 6 meters for 30 minutes versus 2 meters. So the iPhone 12 should technically be more durable. And if you watch the iPhone 12 commercials, it was actually, they were pushing that durability aspect with the iPhone 12. Now, the next major reason that even though you would get less storage, I would say that the iPhone 12 is still probably the better option, is the display. Now, we've talked about the bezels, but it's the actual quality of this display. It's OLED panel. Now, some people don't like OLED panels because they can sense flicker, which can cause headaches and stuff like that via PWM or pulse width modulation. However, the majority of users don't really notice that. And if you do notice it, there are ways around it. I showed in a how to reduce eye strain video I did recently. But this display just looks crisper. It's sharper. It also has much more color, and it just looks better than the iPhone 11. So for that reason, you're getting better hardware here. Again, storage is important, but do you want to sacrifice a much better looking screen with sharper text, thicker bezels for the iPhone 11? I probably wouldn't do it here, even for that storage upgrade. Now also, the iPhone 12, coming in at 460 pixels per inch, the crispiness of the text is going to be ridiculously higher. And I think the average person, if you put these side by side, from a distance, they won't see it. But up close, when you start reading at nighttime, you'll notice, man, what a difference in the iPhone 12. And so the iPhone 12 wins it out in display. While they do have a similar notch, and yes, I put that screen protector on, I think it was for iPhone 13. I didn't have a 12 one laying around, so I know that's going to OCD, going to make some people annoyed, but yeah, the notches are basically the same. So thinner bezels, same notch. iPhone 12 feels a little bit closer to an all screen at the end of the day. Now, when it comes to software, the iPhone 12 also will produce for you a much decent amount of software update more. So you get a full year more. You're going to probably be out of support a whole year. That's a long time. That gives you a whole year to maybe manifest or basically get yourself a new iPhone in that time while still being on the same software update. So the iPhone 12 wins it out there as well. And while the software experience is essentially the same right now, you have the app library, the ability to add widgets, the still base, home screen full of apps, wallpapers are the same, settings are the same. It's essentially the same experience, but at the same time, I would prefer to have longer software support, even though we have the same experience. So you do have a different chipset as well in the iPhone 12. So the iPhone 12 did upgrade to the Apple A14 Bionic. Over here we have the Apple A13 Bionic for the iPhone 11. Now the thing with the iPhone 11's A13 Bionic is that it's clocked at a lower clock speed, but that Apple A13 Bionic is an older chip. And for that reason alone, you're going to get a little bit worse performance. But the big deal here too between these two is not just that, the iPhone 12 has 5G. So you're going to get 5G performance here, whether you go with this, a 12 Pro or an iPhone 12 Pro Max. So that's a big deal as well. So if you want to get 5G performance, that carries you into better internet speed into the future. So that's a big deal over the iPhone 11 with its LTE. Now, LTE is still very fast even now, but at the same time, it cannot compete with 5G, especially when you do lock on to a 5G service. Now, I will say that the iPhone 11 definitely has very good battery life. That LCD, while I have gave this credit, gives it slightly better battery life than the iPhone 11. It should last about an hour longer in my experience on the iPhone 11 than the iPhone 12. I think I might have said the 11, called the 12 the 11, but the iPhone 12 definitely doesn't last quite as long on a charge. However, it's not horrible. And it brings another addition I really like, and that's MagSafe. So you get MagSafe on the iPhone 12, which allows it to attach to a bunch of accessories. In addition, you do get really decent, charging as well on here. So it's not super fast, but it's pretty decent. So that's another improvement, just having the MagSafe charging ability. I really like that on this phone. Also, the iPhone 12 actually does have a little bit faster charging at the same time, but again, with that smaller battery life, not the best thing in the world here. So talking about their camera systems, on the back of them, they do have dual 12 megapixel cameras, and these dual 12 megapixel cameras here are a little bit crispier, a little bit more HDR on the iPhone 12 than the iPhone 11. So definitely there's not a ton that's improved here with this phone, but I did find the video and the photos just a little bit better. But this was one of those years where it didn't really upgrade too much. The iPhone 11 was really good, but honestly, when you're viewing content on the OLED display, it just looks better. Now we also have pretty good front-facing camera and video as well on both of them. The iPhone 11 was a stunner when it comes to camera. It was one of the best reasons to buy this phone. And then you do have good video, but you also had the 12 megapixel camera on here, which was also awesome. So overall, I gotta say the iPhone 11 is still a solid option. And I want you to understand, I do not dislike the 11. I want you to understand something. I don't dislike the iPhone 11 just because it seems like I'm giving the 12 all the praise. We're talking about what's the better value here. And I gotta be honest with you. I still love the iPhone 11. It's a great option if you're trying to save that money. And keep in mind, you could be taking a list of everything I'm talking about here. And if most of the things I'm saying just don't jibe with you, then get the iPhone 11. It'll still be a great option because it does everything I said, just slightly less than the iPhone 12. Now, the cameras, like we said, were a little bit better, but the audio performance is not a ton better on the iPhone 12 over the iPhone 11, and they both have lightning charging. So that's basically the same thing as well. And the design just looks a little newer for the 12. So there's not really much more to talk about. There is another area that was really improved for the iPhone 12 though. That is reception strength and phone call quality. So if you're looking for something to be more reliable in this area, this is important. It's something that you don't think about until you start to notice it. And then it really starts to annoy you. So that's one of the things I didn't like about the 11. It didn't have great reception strength, great mobile performance versus something like the iPhone 12. So do keep that in mind as well. So at the end of the day, you are going to pay a little bit more for just a 64 gig iPhone 12. You could get more storage on the iPhone 11, but you're going to be giving up OLED. You're giving up 5G, and I don't think it's worth it because there are options to expand your storage. All you have to do is offload this storage to an external SSD, which are super cheap these days, or there are other options. There's these little storage things you could just plug into the lightning port and offload your iPhone storage onto like a little lightning to flash drive. So you can get the storage off of here. You can also buy iCloud storage if you want to do that. And over time, you can just upgrade the storage. Yes, it's going to be like $2 or so a month. At the same time, you're going to get a ton of ways to offload. So for me, I would deal with the offloading of storage and skip the iPhone 11, get the iPhone 12. Alternatively, you don't have to box yourself into this option. You can also just hold on to what you have, wait a little while, save a little, and just get the 128 gig iPhone 12. And then you'll be at a much higher storage capacity. But choosing between these, I have to say the iPhone 11 loses this one out if you were trying to choose an iPhone 11 256 gig or an iPhone 12 64 gig. And all around, if you wanted to just use this as a comparison, the iPhone 12 is the better option here in 2023. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, be sure to drop those down below in the comments section. We'll chat about that, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.